studied across the world: Islam, Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism, Judaism. But according to a recent CBS poll done in April of 2006, it showed that 46% of Americans believe that Islam encourages violence more than any other religion in the world. According to Angela Rabasa, author of the book The Muslim World After 9/11, she says the reason why many Americans have a negative perception and a view that Islam is a violent religion is because the events that took place on 9/11, in which 3,000 innocent Americans died that day to Muslim terrorists. In addition to that, she also says that to support that claim, 45% of Americans also have a negative view of Islam because of these violent accusations that they believe Muslims are. And 6 out of 10 Americans also believe that Muslims in America receive discrimination based on they are more violent than other people. In this speech, I will inform you why Islam is not a violent religion. There are 3 main points to my speech. Number 1, Islam does not teach violence within its religion. Number 2, the Muslims who are violent with their religious agendas are not a representation of all Muslims. They are known as fundamentalist Muslims. And number 3, in the Bible, it teaches us as Christians to show compassion and love and not to discriminate or hate other people despite our differences. So moving into my first point, Islam does not teach violence. First of all, the word Islam means to surrender in Arabic. So just by the context of the word Islam, it's pretty obvious that it does not teach violence. According to Stephen Schwartz, Executive Director of the Center for Islamic Pluralism in Washington, D.C., he says that Islam teaches virtue, tolerance, and pity to its people in Islam. Also, according to Syed Nasser, a Islamic professor at George Washington University, he says that Islamic law prohibits the use of violence or force against women, children, and even civilians, even during times of war. And also in the Quran, Allah teaches people of Islamic faith that all people are created equally, despite differences we may have. For example, despite religion, what religion you follow, what race you are, any disabilities you may have, all the differences we have, we're all equal no matter what. In fact, in the Quran, Allah states it's a sign of His beauty and a sign of diversity of His creation, and it's a beautiful thing. Also in the Quran, if you are a Muslim and a part of the Islamic faith, you are required to pray 5 times a day and face towards Mecca, which is east, wherever east is at the time, and you must pray and show respect towards Allah and create peace within yourselves and show others around you that you are at peace with yourself and that you are a peaceful human being in respecting Allah. Now, Islam teaches peace and not violence, but you have groups of Muslims known as fundamentalist Muslims or radical Muslims who choose to be violent with their religious agendas and Islam. For example, the reason why you have these differences between peaceful Muslims and fundamentalist Muslims is because the term jihad, which is used throughout the Quran. And the term jihad means to make an effort for or to strive for. And many of these radical Muslims misinterpret the meaning of jihad in the Quran and take the term as anybody who is not a Muslim or who does not believe in Islamic faith is an enemy of God. But again, this is only a small group of Muslims. This isn't the mass majority of Muslims in our country and around the world. It's only a small group of people that feel this way. The reason why you don't hear from peaceful Muslims and and good Muslims who follow the correct way of Islam and how to be a Muslim, is because many of these Muslims aren't as organized as these fundamentalist groups who can get their voice heard through the media and things like that. Also, in addition to that, many peaceful Muslims are afraid to speak out, because if they speak out against these radical Muslims, many times these radical Muslims will threaten them, and they run the risk of danger to themselves and their family members. So that's the reason why you don't really hear from peaceful Muslims who are living right each and every day. Moving to my third point, in the Bible, it teaches Christians and people of God and people who believe in God to show love and compassion to your fellow human beings, and not to hate people, not to discriminate other people. For example, in Galatians 5:14, the Bible says to love your neighbor as you would love yourself. Love yourself as you would love your neighbor, which means you should treat other people the way you should want to be treated, and that we're all brothers and sisters of God in the eyes of God, and that people shouldn't be treated with discrimination and hatred for one another. Also, in Hebrews 12:14, the Bible says to strive for peace with everyone, and it's your duty to do so under the Lord. And I think that verse pretty much explains itself, meaning that if you are a Christian, you should strive for peace with everybody, no matter what, and that we're all brothers and sisters in the eyes of God, and that we should love our neighbor as we love ourselves. So in this speech, I've informed you why Islam is not a violent religion. Number one, Islam does not teach violence within its religion. Number two, the Muslims who are violent are not a representation of what it really means to be a Muslim in Islamic faith. They are known as fundamentalist Muslims. And number three, the Bible teaches us to show love and compassion and not to hate or discriminate against other people. We're all brothers and sisters in the eyes of God. As I said earlier, 46% of Americans have the belief that Islam is a violent religion, which is simply not true, because Islam teaches its followers to respect people around them and to be peaceful. And Islam is the second largest religion behind Christianity. So, as Christians, if we don't learn we don't learn how to accept the Islamic faith and really know where they're coming from, and we misunderstand them, we're just misunderstanding a whole group of people, and we're doing wrong by God. So this is why Islam does not teach violence within its religion.